Hello, you're listening to the G.O.A.T Pod. This is a podcast where we discuss the best-selling albums of all time. Hosted by Jason Purrier, Steven Schott, Daniel Brown, and me, Jared Slusher. Now let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. Turtle power.
Oh, hey. I didn't see you there. This is the G.O.A.T Pod, and hello and welcome to everybody in the world. How's everybody doing?
Everybody just responded in the comments, and they said, "Aight."
Okay. Very cool.
Aight.
That's a cool thing to say if you don't have enough time to say, I'm all
It
right.
was crazy. Yeah. The entire Indian continent said "Aight." It was kind of
dang.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay. I am in a little bit of pain after playing soccer yesterday. We played two games back to back. Some call that a double header. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Soccer. That's really something. I call it football.
It was cold. It was cold.
No, you don't.
Oh yeah, it is winter right now.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyone else play soccer?
I've played soccer.
I've played
but
it.
They won't let me play with their team because they're scared.
Because you're too good.
Who said that?
Andrew.
The Pee Wee team.
Oh, take it up with Andrew.
I have. He won't let me play.
Dang.
So
I'm not allowed to play Little League anymore, but that's because of political reasons.
well, hand them.
I am 13.
Yeah, hand them a piece of paper that says "I am 12" with a $20 bill, and I guarantee you they'll let you play.
Wow. Well,
How do you spell I?
we've got.
It's funnier if you know that this broke as I tried to write it.
AIGH.
Well, anyway, we've got an exciting album to talk about today. But before we talk about that, what's your favorite snowy time, fun time activity?
Oh, good
Snowy time,
question.
fun time. Welcome
Yeah.
Snowy time, fun
You know,
I feel like
time.
you're flirting with me.
Well, I'm being bashful a little bit. But, Daniel,
Yeah, I'll go first.
how about you start out?
Yeah, I gotta say, any kind of snow war is my go-to if there's enough good snow. But if we just get a good old North Carolina icing, then
It's the best part of the cake.
then it's got to be curl up, watch a movie, and get some tea or hot chocolate or something.
Yeah. Actually, but all of us have lived in North Carolina a very long time.
Mhm.
I mean, Jared doesn't currently, but do you remember the ice storm from many years ago? We would have
How
been
about when we were kitty kids?
2014
Yeah, we were
or
kitty kids.
2003.
2002, 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Was that long ago? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there
I have
there
a
have been
vague
multiple.
memory of that.
Yeah.
Well, there's one that really sticks out, and I remember just my whole front yard was just full of ice, and we slipped around on there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. But Jason,
So I remember that same snow. So I'll give my answer, but I do want to say this. I was much younger than all of y'all. By that, I mean 2 years younger than y'all.
Then it
But
made a difference.
it was the first real snow that I remember, but our power went out. And so we all slept downstairs near the fireplace.
Whoa.
So the next year when it snowed, I thought, snow time, we all get to camp out in the living room. And so I started bringing my stuff down. And they're like, what are you doing? I was like, it snowed outside. We all camp out in here. And they're like, no, that's because the power went out. I was like, oh,
Man.
But-
Missed opportunity.
I know.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So if that had caught on, that would have been my favorite snow day activity. But I would say mine's probably sledding. Big old sledding fan. In
good
Raleigh, there's a road called Churchill Road. Very good sledding. Straight, very steep, and at the end it hooks up and it doesn't curve at the end, so you can just slow down. It's pretty great. You can get some high speeds on that thing, and it ices over real good. So that's probably my favorite.
Nice.
Neato.
Petito.
Jarrett. What's your favorite snowy time fun activity?
Man, I would say. So I will say this: North Carolina snow is not really snow, and I say that as a man who lives in Colorado, where there is
I
real
agree.
snow.
Yeah.
Well, it's poetry.
It's nice. It's powdery. You can throw a snowball at someone, and it may or may not hurt them. North Carolina is just sleet and ice.
It will hurt.
And that will kill someone. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
as far as my favorite activity, I would say if I'm out here, being able to build like an actual snowman or like
Wow.
have a snowball fight
That's cool.
with snowmen, that would be fun. So
How they fight you
Snow
back?
people.
they're more
Snowmen fight back.
Target?
they're more like forts, I guess. Like you build a snowman, you hide behind it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But as far as North Carolina goes, that one hill, Stephen, in our neighborhood, that was very,
Steep.
Down
not even
here.
it was like bigger
Just
than
downward.
every other hill in the neighborhood. So that was fun to go down, as long as like the sled didn't break because it was made out of plastic. But other than that,
Sure. Did you guys have like the dishes or like the longer like sleds?
I
we had the
had,
longer ones.
I had wooden planked with rails to
Wow.
That thing was slick. It was built by
Top
a radio
tier.
flyer too. It's kind of cool.
Whoa.
But you could
a
only
real
do it
deal.
if it was really icy, because otherwise it would just like dig into the ground. So it worked
Yeah.
really well in North Carolina when it was icy, because it just kind of skate.
Yeah.
I remember just using the wooden part of a skateboard.
Yes, take the wheels off.
Oh.
Yeah. It's very,
Take the trucks off.
very
You.
90s and
Yeah.
dangerous. But that's me, man.
Was
I
this
just
your
wanna
favorite
clarify,
snow time activity?
Don't just take off the wheels. Take off the trucks too.
Well,
It'd be
yeah.
a big problem.
Just take off the wood.
Yeah.
that was never. That's everyone would already knew that, Jason.
Hey, some people out there don't understand.
We're not liable
anatomy
for your
of
stupidity, listeners. Wait,
skateboards.
you're not stupid. You're beautiful.
Cover girl.
You can be both. My favorite
Yeah.
snow time activity
Hey, Beans.
is
Hey,
yes.
what was your
Dan or
favorite
Nate?
snow time fun time activity?
Beach jam.
Bless you. Well, my favorite would probably be like building a snowman and then like
With a mustache.
beating it up and just getting all your feelings out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
So we've got a great album today.
Tell me you were the youngest kid in your family without telling me you were the youngest kid in your family.
Yeah, but I like the snowman, and we didn't really have carrots in my house, so we
Could see
just got sticks and all that. So yeah, we liked snowman building.
Well, in Frosty, it was a button nose, so
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
The way you
Yeah,
said
because-
that was like an insult. Frosty was a button nose.
yeah.
I mean, we couldn't afford carrots in my house, so
Star-bellied sneeches.
wow.
All right, well,
Anyway,
what album did we just listen to?
it is the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack hosted
Not
by
the
Steven.
deluxe, just the
Yeah.
regular soundtrack.
Regular
Yeah,
people.
not the deluxe. I didn't know there was a deluxe, but it's not that. 22.1 certified and 40 million claimed, but they're probably lying.
Probably.
I mean,
Yeah, so it's a very, very popular album. And Jarrett, what kind of background stuff did you find out about this album?
What do
Dude,
we
you're
need to know?
you're not going to believe this, but this is a disco album.
No way.
What?
Wait.
That's BS.
You're
man.
telling me that Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb made a disco album? Is that
Not
what you're
only
telling me
that.
tonight?
Not only that, but disco is short for discotheque, which is also short. I don't know actually if it's shorter. for anything.
Discoteca.
But
The
yeah.
Biblioteca.
So the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack came out November 15th, 1977, which was a whole month before the movie came out, plus a day, which I've always found interesting when like the soundtrack to a movie that hasn't like ever been shown before comes out before the movie. Like with Wicked, like that kind of makes sense. Like we know Wicked, we knew it was going to be on there. But this was a brand new soundtrack.
The music didn't come out before the musical, though.
Or did it?
It didn't.
Not before the musical.
Anyway, so this came out a month before the movie. Bee Gees, in case you were wondering, doesn't stand for anything, but it does have Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb from the great land of England, which
Bee Gees stands for Barry Gibb, doesn't it?
No.
Like
I
I know
don't
it's
think so.
B-E-E-G-E, whatever.
Obviously, if the Bee Gees are ever on this list again, we're going to go more into detail about them. But that's who's in the band. And funny thing about the Bee Gees and Saturday Night Fever is that they were not involved with the movie whatsoever until post-production. Meaning,
that's wild.
They produced the movie. Robert Stigwood and Bill Oakes made the movie. And they're like, you know who would be great on this? The Bee Gees. Which Robert Stigwood was... Yeah, Robert Stigwood was their manager and producer, so that's how he had that connection. But the Bee Gees were in the middle of recording an album in France, and he's like, hey, y'all should write songs for this movie. And they had no idea what the movie was about, but they're like, sure, we'll do this. And
that's incredible.
John Travolta was like, yeah, the Bee Gees weren't even involved in the movie in the beginning. I was dancing to Stevie Wonder and Boz Scaggs. So
that's incredible. Obviously... We're here. We're musicians. We understand how like tempos work. So like you just put two songs to the same tempo, you know what it's going to be at the same tempo. But like the fact that they were like, hey, we're just going to make sure that they make songs that fit the tempos that our actors already danced and moved to.
Yeah,
I think is incredible.
Yeah. And so none of the songs that the Bee Gees do that are on the soundtrack that we all know today, none of the actors and actresses heard those until the movie was out.
Wow.
Yeah.
You would never.
That's crazy.
I did not know. So.
Yeah. And this is actually an interesting time for the Bee Gees, mid-70s, because so they started 1958, group of brothers, started making music together. Their dad was their manager. Dad got in contact with, you may know the Beatles manager, Brian Epstein. His...
Quite familiar.
Not secretary. Whoever was under him, Robert Stigwood, Brian Epstein was like, hey, you take these guys and you make them into a big band or whatever. And so Robert's like, bet. And so they kind of get big. They kind of start falling away in the early 70s. And they're like, man, we really need to find a new sound. And so disco, which was kind of starting to gain momentum, they're like, yeah, let's join that. And so now we have the Bee Gees on Saturday Night Fever, and that's how we got them. The film was inspired by a New York magazine article called "The Tribal Rights of the New Saturday Night," catchy, by Nick Cohn, essentially about the disco craze of Italian Americans that were working dead-end jobs and living for their nights, dancing the disco. Which 20 years later, Nick Cohn would later confess that most of that article was fabricated and was a lie. Most of it just based on one friend that he had at the time. So, glad that it existed because it gave us this movie and soundtrack. But all that was just
based on lies.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
And then a little bit of tidbit here: this was the best-selling album before Thriller. Came out obviously 1977, and then within those 4 or 5 years it was out, it was number one.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And eventually made it into the Library of Congress in 2012.
Incredible.
Really? What's the significance of that?
It is preserved, meaning it has a cultural significance. So Congress has taken this soundtrack and done something with it so that it's going to stay around forever. And the movie was also put in the Library of Congress in 2010. But so it's been in Congress for 13 years now.
That's wild.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's never going to go away. It's going to stay alive.
Yeah, so when people are excavating the ruins of our society in the future, they'll come across this and they'll just think this is what we were up to.
This platinum record somewhere in a basement.
That's the thing.
I was talking about this movie and this album with my dad, and he said two things about it. One, he said it defined a culture, like it really solidified, and like it was just groundbreaking and like rocked everybody's world in the 70s. And it also was one of his albums that he would listen to whenever he got up for, I think he was getting up for school, and he would either put on that or the Queen album. Oh, I just had it.
Night at the Opera.
Night at the Opera. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the one.
That's it.
Nice.
My dad
He
said
said it just ruled. Like, of course they put it in the Library of Congress.
My dad saw it when it came out, which I'm also realizing, Dad, if you're listening, that you were way too young to see this movie at the time that it came out. So I'm going to tell, I don't know, I feel like we should tell your mom about this or something. But
yeah, he should be grounded.
Well, what was it rated? Any idea what it was rated when it came out?
it was R.
Yeah, I think it was hard from the
You
beginning.
know who wasn't rated
Or
R?
even for
My
the
dad.
70s. That's funny. Let's go on to the track listing. I believe this is going to be a bit different than how we normally do it. We usually just read right through it, but we sort of have different songs for different folks, and we'll take a minute or so on each of the songs. So this album had 4 sides, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm still not 100% sure how that's possible on vinyl.
So, for those clarified, there were 2 discs.
Oh,
Each of them had 2 sides, and when you compile those together, there's 4 of them.
gotcha.
So that is how there are 4 sides to this one record.
It's not like a cubed record kind of thing.
That would be sick, though.
That would.
A cubed record.
Then it would have like 6 sides.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like one
so
song
the
per
first song on
Yeah.
this album, it's a single, and it's called "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees. This is, one of the most recognizable songs in the world. On Rolling Stone's top 500 greatest songs of all time, it is number 99. The drums are taken from Night Fever, as the session drummer during the recording had taken a leave due to a family concern. It was not originally planned as a single, but as radio callers heard it, they demanded to be able to play it. They demanded to be able to have it out earlier than the rest of the album.
And they're right.
They were completely correct. They called it. It went up to number 1 on Billboard and on Cashbox, and it still ranks at number 59 all time on the Billboard Hot 100, or maybe that was where it ended. Billboard Hot 100.
1958 to 2018, that's where it landed.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Also, it should be noted that this song sets the tempo at which you are supposed to perform CPR.
It is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
That's how I learned it.
So first I was afraid. I was petrified. It's weird. I've tried to give a lot of people CPR and they've all perished immediately. But I tried to do this song.
What they told me to do.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
No, that's from The Office. But okay. That was song number 1. Song number 2, "How Deep Is Your Love" by none other than the Bee Gees. It was a single, and this song makes I'll say oddly placed appearance in the movie. I have some more to say about that later. But let's see. Talk of Yvonne Elliman singing it, and she was known as the Ballad Queen. Very good at singing ballads. And Stigwood, who's Stigwood?
That is the producer manager.
Yeah, Stigwood, the producer manager, told them not to give that song to anybody. Just like Pharrell told Ed Sheeran not to give "Shape of You" to anybody.
Yeah.
I might have gotten the names wrong in that, but that happened too. And this song, "How Deep Is Your Love," is currently number 375 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of Human History.
Man,
Yeah.
that's two back-to-back in the 500.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is number one Billboard and Cashbox in 1978. And then it was number 25 all-time Billboard.
This was above Staying
Hot 100.
Alive.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, so it's not a competition, but you lose.
They won.
But yeah.
Well, glad it's not, because my track is going to lose. But Night Fever
ahead,
is
Jason.
the next one that the Bee Gees put on there. It was written before, and it was asked, like written before and asked to be a part of the movie. Stigwood, the producer, wanted to make it like kind of a key song to the movie Saturday Night. So it kind of made sense that Night Fever, Saturday Night Fever, kind of all makes sense there. But it was
because of the words and they're the same.
it's all the same,
Yeah.
you see, but on
see.
like Saturday Night. But it debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, hit 76. Then it leaped 44 positions up to 32. Then it moved to 32, 17, 8, 5, 2, 1, and remained at number 1 for a surprising, but not so surprising when you hear the song, 8 weeks, which is the most of any single that year.
Wow.
And only spent 13 weeks in the top 10.
Crazy.
But number 1 on Billboard and Cashbox, but in the in the all-time top 100 is number 42. Where did that place behind?
Yeah,
is
so
it
not
behind
25.
So that's in between
59?
How
So it's in
Deep
between.
and-
It's right in the
yeah.
middle.
Yeah.
So it's still losing because second place you're last. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, first or last.
But yeah, so that was Night Fever from Saturday Night Fever.
Very cool. All right,
Then we
and
got,
number 4.
Yeah, then we got More Than a Woman. Also, if you're following the theme here, by the Bee Gees. This was
What?
also released as a single. This is the first of 2 versions that are on the album. The other one is coming up later. But this was one of the batch of songs that they were in the process of writing when they got asked to do the album. And they're like, yeah. And so they wrote this within like a weekend. And then by the time the movie came out, obviously it's a full song. But yeah, it was released as a single and was number 39 on U.S. Adult Contemporary in 1978.
Wow.
So it did not
A lot
fare
of
as
chart-
well as the other songs, but
A
it
lot
did
of
chart.
chart presence in this album so far.
Yeah,
This one also sung in falsetto,
yeah,
Yes.
just like a lot of these other ones.
yeah. Which that was kind of a new thing for the Bee Gees when they started doing disco. They, like, if you listen to the early stuff, it's in their normal voices, and then once they started doing disco, that's where Barry starts to leading in falsetto, and so that's kind of become their trademark here.
That's why on the Tonight Show that one time, and what's his name? Jimmy Fallon had to sing like Barry Gibb. He asked the question, low Barry Gibb or high Barry Gibb? And everyone's like, obviously, high Barry
Hi,
Gibb.
Barry Gibb.
Yeah,
So,
So good. Getting back to Yvonne Elliman, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yvonne,
Yvonne, it's important to note that this is Father Slush Puppy's favorite song on
Yeah, it
the
is.
album, If I Can't Have You. Another one of the singles, the last of the singles. Originally, it was intended to be performed by the Bee Gees, as it is a disco song. And you know what? The opening to it gave me humongous ABBA vibes.
yeah.
And it was really, really nice. But Stigwood, producer extraordinaire, said he wanted to have Yvonne perform it. Little fun fact about her: she is in the original concept album for the Broadway musical Jesus Christ Superstar. She is Mary Magdalene, and then plays her in the 1973
That's
film. She's incredible in that as well. It's no wonder people wanted her to sing the things. And it hit number 1 on the Billboard in 1978, another chart topper.
just want to say, that we're 5 songs in, and only one of them hasn't hit number 1.
Yeah.
And honestly, probably one of the best songs.
Yeah.
edited.
Truthfully, Yeah.
I think More Than a Woman was like one of the later, like the Bee Gees version was a later single. I want to say the other one. Well, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on to side 2, we have A Fifth of Beethoven by Walter Murphy. And this was composed by him when he was studying at Manhattan School of Music.
Mm.
And the fifth in the song title, A Fifth of Beethoven, is supposed to be a pun, like one would have like a fifth of vodka. It's measuring approximately equal to 1/5 of a gallon. Popular size for bottles containing liquor, as well as Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, from which the song was adapted.
Very nice.
Weirdly,
makes
this
sense.
song is the 6th song in this album. I don't know why they
There was
didn't
an
make it
opportunity
the
here.
5th. It's like when the movie 1984 came out in 1985.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
COVID.
There's an opportunity.
yeah. So in college, Walter Murphy was interested in rock music, adapted from classical music.
Makes sense.
Also known
and-
as rockical.
No, it's
It's
I don't
classic
think it's
rock.
known as that.
Classic
Yeah,
rock.
but it came out really well. This song is groovy as crap.
Yeah,
To use the lingo of the
Go
1970s.
rollerblading to this. Yeah.
It makes you want to go rollerblading, and it's awesome. Yeah, so it was also number 1 Billboard in Cashbox 1976,
Okay.
and it is number 120 of the all-time Billboard Hot 100.
and I want to say real quick about this one. This is one of the songs that are on this album that like were already a disco hit at the time, and the producers of the soundtrack were like, "Oh yeah, we should have this on the soundtrack in the movie." So although it wasn't like made for the movie, Stigwood and Oaks were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna take this one and put it here."
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 76
awesome.
is when it was. That was way before the movie.
Which is another thing we have here with Here and Again, More Than a Woman. But this time by the Tavares. Is it just
Sure.
Tavares or Tavares?
Tavares.
DeVarson
There's an
Lamar.
R&B group, 5 brothers from Cape Verde. Is that correct?
I think so. Cape Verde.
No. So their roots are Cape Verdean, but they're from America. They were
Okay.
born in Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Same thing.
But roots in Verdean. But I was like looking at this because I have a point I'm going to make at the end of this. That's why I was like, I know that this is something different. But you'll see where this all loops in at the end. It's all going to come together. Don't worry. But their first hit was actually a cover of Hall & Oates' "She's Gone," so they're kind of in the hit stealing business of some sort.
Oh,
But their version actually hit 32 on the Billboard Top 100, even though, let's see where the Bee Gees, their version of it only hit 39 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary.
What?
wow.
So 2 of the same song, but this one hit higher on the Billboard.
Yeah.
And that was in 77, 78, kind of a
Yeah.
crossover.
And this one came out first as a single, so that may also have something to do with it.
Yeah. Generally, the first song goes higher on the list,
The first song
But-
is the deepest.
usually. But yeah.
Sweet. Then we got Manhattan Skyline, composed by David Shire, which was also released as a single. I think that's the only instrumental single from the soundtrack that was released as a single.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
David Shire is also the only composer for the film outside of the Bee Gees. So all the instrumental disco tracks and stuff like that were composed by David Shire, other than another song that's later in the soundtrack. He was also a score for a ton of different films, like One More Train to Rob, The Conversation, All the President's Men. I feel like it's like a movie a year he scored
That's
for.
crazy.
So he was pretty big at this time, and obviously composed for this soundtrack in a disco way.
In a disco way.
Very cool. Next, if you were to look this song up on Genius.com looking for lyrics, it would tell you this song is an instrumental. We have Calypso Breakdown by Ralph McDonald. It is like almost 8 minutes long.
It's the most roundabout way to say that ever. It's an instrumental.
I had so much fun coming up with that.
I should have done that.
It is, roughly 8 minutes long. I did look up what instruments are in this, and that's how it took me to Genius.com, and it literally just says this song is an instrumental. It's fantastic. So we've got Ralph McDonald. He is a percussionist. He is a steel pan virtuoso. Basically, what this is telling you is if you heard a song from the 70s, maybe the 80s, that had a steel pan in it, it was probably him.
It was him.
So Where's the Love by Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. Just the Two of Us by Bill Withers and Grover Washington Jr. Also playing for people like Harry Belafonte, Ray Charles, Patty Austin, Peter Allen, David Bowie, Art Garfunkel, James Brown, Jimmy Buffett, and many more. Like, honestly, if you've heard a steel pan and it resonates with you, it's probably Ralph McDonald. Probably. This is
or
a
it's
song
me having a good time at Guitar Center.
Truly.
But it's probably Ralph.
Calypso,
Ralph.
maybe referring to one of the Greek mythological characters that is quite mysterious, and she also is like a little bit of her vibe is kind of getting you into a trance, and if you're not careful enough, his steel pan will get you into a trance, and then you'll find yourself at the end of the song 7 minutes and 49 seconds later going, oh, it's over. When did it start? But yeah.
Why am I on this mountain?
When did I start driving? And Calypso Breakdown.
Very cool. And we are moving on to side 3, which begins with Night on Disco Mountain by David Shire. It's written by Maris Musogorski. Of course, died in 1881.
Of course.
Everyone knows that.
Naturally.
Written by that guy and Modest Shire. Produced by Bill Oakes and David Shire. Based on Night on Bald Mountain by Mr. Musogorski. There's no way I'm saying that right.
Late great riff.
Yeah, it's like, and it is I guess Night on Bald Mountain is a poem written about witches.
Sweet.
I mean, I see the connections there. Disco nights and witches. You know,
Sure.
it all ties together somewhere.
Sure, yeah.
Fever, burning, you know.
Yeah, so...
I mean, it only seems fitting that you would go from a song about witches to Open Sesame by Kool and the Gang.
so fitting.
The next song on here. This one, another one. Huge disco hit at the time. But I think is also probably... Kool and the Gang's probably the most well-known artist group that was used on this whole album. At least probably today, by just many other songs that Kool and the Gang has done over the time. But this interprets Soul Bloom's The Streets of Cairo, and this one on the Billboard Hot 175, hit number 55. So not by far the most known Kool and the Gang song, but it's up there. It's definitely a well-known Kool and the Gang song. But Kool and the Gang kind of went all over the place. They were in a little bit of a rut when they got this song on this album. So it kind of started bringing them back out of the rut before the late 70s, early 80s. They kind of got their swing back. But yeah.
Cool beans.
Leads us into Jive Talkin' by the Bee Gees, another song that was released before the soundtrack came out. This was the lead single for their 13th album, Main Course, which saw them going in a different direction, more into R&B, funk, pre-disco. And a little fun fact about this one, this was their first hit in 4 years. And radio stations didn't even know who the artist was or what the song was until they started playing it on turntables, because the way they got the song hand delivered to them was in white sleeves. So
who don't know?
Man, there's also
you ever been called a jive turkey?
Cashbox. A jive turkey.
You ever been called? No.
Okay. Can't say I have.
I've been
Sometimes
called.
I call people that just to see the confusion in their eyes.
Yeah, I think you've called me that before.
I don't know if you're. I think you get canceled for that. You better be careful where you're saying that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad. I think it just means
turkey.
Yeah, a turkey it's full of jive. All right,
I think,
so moving on.
It just means you should be dancing, Dan.
You should be. And that's really the story that this entire movie that I've not seen yet is trying to tell you, is that you should be dancing. You've got Dancing Queen. You've got Boogie Shoes coming up in a second. Ooh, spoiler alert. But first, you should be dancing. Released in June of 1976 by, guess it, the Bee Gees. Man, when they started going into disco, this is the song that really catapulted them into that genre. And it's the only Bee Gees song to top the Billboard dance chart, which is crazy. I feel like I could dance to How Deep Is Your Love, but it's not disco.
It's disco.
And for
you jive with it.
You're disco.
You could jive with it. Again, it was another song from this album that at one point was #1 on the Billboard and Cashbox, spanning between 1976 and 1977. And I believe this song is important to Jarrett for some reason. Jarrett, do you want to explain the connection to you?
Yeah, this was one of the first bass parts I ever learned when I was playing bass guitar in high school.
It's a good... I feel like disco in general is a good way to learn some bass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good old G minor, G pentatonic minorish.
Nice.
Some blues.
If you can keep up with it, man, that's really sick. All right, what's next?
Next, we have Boogie Shoes.
What?
Oh.
Get it.
By Casey and the Sunshine Band. Originally recorded for 1975 debut album and was released as a single in January 1978 after being showcased in the movie.
What?
Wow.
The movie, of course, referring to Saturday Night Fever.
Nice.
It was written by Mr. Henry Wayne... Oh, crap. Oh, no.
Oh, man.
For those watching and listening anywhere, our script got deleted. It's back now. It's back.
Oh, man.
Who did that?
Not
man?
everything we say is scripted, but some of this information is hard to keep locked in the old dome here.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
It's a cue card.
Cue cards were burned. They were burned.
By Henry Wayne Casey. Keys/Vox. What is...
Vocals.
Yes, of course. I know that. And Richard Finch, who played the bass on this. And it's been also in other movies, such as No Escape, Mallrats, Boogie Nights.
Oh, that makes sense.
It says the same
Often
word.
mistaken for this
boogie.
movie.
Yeah. Is it? I didn't know that.
No.
Look, I'll believe anything if it's on the script. Detroit Rock City, Hop, and The Intern was also in a TV series called Desperate Housewives.
What?
You may have heard of it. And this one came in at number 35 on Billboard 1978.
When it was re-released as a single.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. The song's got legs.
All right, let's swing us into the tail end here. Side number 4.
Look, I know all the lingo. You guys don't act like you.
Losing it.
We were going to try.
Probably my favorite name of any track on here. Not my favorite track. We'll get there later. But favorite name of a track, Salsation by David Shire. It's a clear Latin musical influences, some salsa feels. It's drawing on rhythms and instruments commonly associated with salsa music, its prominent use of percussions like congas and bongos, lots of syncopated rhythms. Some of my favorite things. I was just recently on a cruise, and they had a whole bar that all they did was play Latin music, and it was a vibe. I'd like, even if I wasn't in that one, I was like walking past it, and there's just with all the congas. It was pretty sweet. But
That's pretty dope.
it was a fusion, though, of that salsa vibe with the dance genres of the time, prominent in the 70s. Jarrett would like to also say,
This is like funky Santana. Which
Yes,
Santana
it
was
is.
doing
Wow.
stuff at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, it is.
But
Santana
this
was
is that
doing some-
vibe.
But he never did this.
They didn't do this song.
But there was one song that followed this. But if you go on to Spotify, it will not let you play it. But you can find it. You just look it up separate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
The
on
Oracle.
the digital version of the album for some reason. It is KG, K-JEE by MFSB. Lot of letters in this name. And MFSB, for those of you who are wondering, is the
It's like
Philadelphia
1/6.
Yeah, is the Philadelphia International Records house band, mother, father, sister, brother, which is made up of like 30 people.
That's incredible.
So obviously, house band for a record company. Record company's like, hey, this person's doing this album, and they need a bassist, or they need whatever. House band comes in and does the song or whatever. They also do, MFSB does the Soul Train theme, and also originated what's known as the Philly sound. And
Neato.
this
Petito.
KG came out as also before the soundtrack and hit number 18 on the U.S. dance charts in 1975.
The final
Dun, 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 dun.
of this album
Da-da-da-da.
by
Da-da-da-da.
no that was earlier
Dun, 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 dun.
by the Tramps.
Okay.
There's two
Gotcha.
M's in Tramps here. By the Tramps. Disco Inferno. Also known to most people, if you don't know the actual name of the song, as Burn Baby Burn.
Burn.
Baby burn. You may have asked yourself, is there a 10.5-minute version of this song? And we're here to tell
on
you.
this album,
Yeah.
there is.
Indeed.
During recording, the noise reduction was incorrectly set, and when fixed, there was a wider dynamic range than was typical for the time. So it was ahead of its time without trying to be.
So that's
Very
why it
hipster
pops
of it.
out at you.
Yeah. That's why it feels younger
Like you're
than
in
it
a
is.
disco inferno.
Inspired by the Towering Inferno from 1974. Have you seen it? No, neither have I.
Same.
It hit number 11 on the Billboard's, number 8 on Cashbox in 1978. That is the last of this album.
All right, well, that's the track listing.
It's all 17 of them.
Was there really 17? Wow.
17
That's
songs, yeah.
Well,
That's a lot
one
of-
was done twice, though.
Well, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, yeah. Well, obviously, you know, we've gone through a lot of information and opinions while we were doing that. So the rest of our normal, subjects will be abbreviated. But the lyrics and themes, as far as I can tell, it's a lot about dancing and
Boogie
one
Nights.
song about witches and one song about love.
Well, this song's not about witches, Steven. It was based off of a witches song.
Yeah, based
Now
off
it's
a poem.
Now it's a Boogie Night song.
Yeah, so it was about witches, and we'll just leave it there. But
There's a lot of themes of like dancing and love
Yeah.
And
Both.
women.
Burning.
having a good time on Saturday night.
Having a good
with your
time.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends.
with your friends.
which that's a lot of what the movie was about.
Yeah.
Save
Yeah.
for a few unnecessarily intense
Uncomfy
subjects that are quite jarring moments in the movie that interrupt the Saturday Night Fever dancing fun 70s whatever. But
Which I think was
Yes.
neat. And I think we can kind of wrap in our thoughts on the movies for those of us that saw it. We
Especially Dan.
Let it be known, I did not watch it.
Dan did not watch it. He was searching just the music. So the three of us saw it.
Yeah.
But I think it was almost timely to show like how drastic the change was going in New York at the time of like
For sure.
guys just having like good old boogie nights, dancing the night away, but also like thugs and like gang-ish activity. I won't even say gang activity, but like gang-ish activity, and then like people like not really loving their lives, but like going to these super like seems like the love of their life nights, but it's really kind of a dichotomy of man, and I think it's neat to see that with this boogie music that's like everything's
Yeah.
on top.
I hadn't thought about it like that. I hadn't thought about like that, hard juxtaposition between like the really deep stuff and the dancing. I didn't really think about that as intentional, but I mean, I guess that sort of shows that that time and that zeitgeist. It wasn't all just boogieing and dancing. There was some really heavy stuff intermingled, which really is such a hard contrast with what the music was was telling of the times. So yeah, I guess that's interesting, and maybe that's why they put "How Deep Is Your Love" in that really weird spot that it definitely shouldn't have been in.
What's that?
Which let's just put it out here.
Okay.
Dan, you didn't see it, so let me put this out here for you.
Yeah.
Beans and Saturday Night Slusher disagree with me, but say you're in a situation, your friend was unalived accidentally here on a bridge,
Dang.
right after several unfortunate, closely knit members of your group have been through a really traumatic session, and your best friend and the love of your life has left you because
Dang.
of things that you did wrong. And now you are on your own on the streets of New York on terrible subways because this is the 70s. And you're just contemplating life and death and all these things. But you have to have a disco track playing in the background because there's no other choice here. What disco track are you taking?
I like the first that comes to mind is "How Deep Is Your Love."
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Heresy.
if you watch the movie and you say, why are they playing this? Remind yourself, it has to be a disco track because the movie and the whole vibe is ruined if it's not a disco track.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's
okay.
also like...
So I don't know what other disco track I would have played there because I don't have a encyclopedic knowledge of disco tracks, but objectively, it is a weird placing of that song. I guess
Yes.
considering
Sure.
the circumstances,
I'll get...
it makes sense. But
If we could play anything but disco, yes, it's a weird placement. But if I'm
Yeah,
just
but
thinking
Sarah
disco,
McLachlan hadn't come out with "In the Arms of an Angel" yet, so
I don't even know if
and
she'd
that's
come out
not
yet.
disco. But that's not disco.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, if it has to be a disco song, I
Jarrett,
get it.
Yeah.
Jarrett,
Jason.
if you were to pick any other song in this entire anthology of these 16 songs to go in that spot in its place, what are you using?
Out of the 17 that are there, I do see your point. I also would have
Beethoven's
said,
Fifth.
let's find an 18th and use...
See, that's where you go wrong. That's where you go wrong. Disco is great because they're all the same.
I
That's
think
the
How
thing.
Deep Is Your Love works better as the closer than the closer and after that scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say they played it again as the closer, and I was like, oh, that fits perfectly.
Exactly. It all ties together because all disco is the same for just the right reasons.
And all the right reasons.
That being said, I want to make one notice that I was doing in the search of all these different musical groups here. So we're in a movie. It's all about New York and about the Italian-American struggle in Brooklyn. Let's look at the artists that were chosen for this. So there are two oddballs. One, the Bee Gees that are from England. And
Recording in France.
Exactly. And
Classic Italians.
Yvonne Elliman, who's from, as all would guess, Honolulu, Hawaii. Now, the rest of them are almost right. the Tavarises, they're from New Bedford, Massachusetts, and Providence, Rhode Island. David Lee Shire, he's getting close, but he was in Buffalo, New York. Then you have only one that grew up in New York, and that's our master Ralph McDonald, who is from
Beast.
Harlem, New York.
Beast.
So
Nice.
he's close, but again, not Brooklyn. Then we have, where are we at? Kool and the Gang. They're from Jersey City, New Jersey. You have the Tramps, who are from Philadelphia. We had that other group from Philadelphia that was mother, father, brother, sister. You also have, that was it. Yeah, I think that's all. So only one of all of our artists trying to portray the Italian-American struggle in Brooklyn is from New York. And he's not Italian-American, and he's not from Brooklyn. So I
John
think that's
Travolta Italian?
he's Italian-American.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
You can see it in his nose.
Yeah. I don't know. What does a Italian American nose look like?
John Travolta's.
Sweet.
Oh, I see. Well, I guess we can tie, musical nuddities and highlights sort of in the same vein here. What did you guys think about? What were some of your favorites? Parts of this album. What really spoke to you?
Well, Jason's talked about how much of this, like how it's all disco,
Yeah.
and because of that, I think it just flows super well. And like, not only did it define culture, but it let the culture define it. In their selection, in their vibe, and so like it's one of the like most cohesive and flowing albums that I think I've listened to on this podcast. And it's because of some of the rules of disco. You've got your 4 on the floor drum line. You've got your syncopated bass lines. You've got your synthesizers, electric rhythm guitar. Like, you've got all of the makings that every disco song should follow to the most, for the most part. I think it made for a super, super easy to listen to album that we got from one song to the next, and there were very few surprises.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of what is it's I think it's called EDM music. It's like the music that's played in like dance clubs where it's all sort of sounds the same, but it's supposed to.
Like Skrillex.
Oh, this is your
Like
first.
house music.
Yeah, house music. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a style of music that was built for dance. Like, and there's so many like you waltzes. You can go early jazz, like big band jazz, very much for dancing. Like, there's all of these styles of music up to EDM. This is probably the most. I'm trying to think if there's any newer style. House is a little bit newer than EDM, but like, are your newest styles of dance specific genres?
Right. Oh yeah.
I guess there's kind of this new vibe. I don't know what to call it. Is that kind of like, there's a bunch of artists like Surfaces does it, Force Frank, which he's in Surfaces, but like there's some other guys doing this. Like, it's kind of like a new pop, but all of it's kind of like dancey pop. I guess is probably our next transition of dance music. But like, I feel like disco of all of the like dance styles is probably one of the most unique of them all. Like, you can have a waltz that sounds sad and depressing and happy and go lucky.
Yeah.
You really can't have a sad and depressing like disco.
Yeah.
You can show some different emotions, but it's kind of like it's rocking at one spot, but I think it works. Especially for this movie and for this album.
I like it.
It's the vibes.
Well-
It's putting out vibes.
Well, let's go into our least favorites and favorites. We'll start with the least favorites, though, and I will close my eyes and pick one at random. Jason.
Dang it! I saw the wheel spinning. I wasn't sure if it was going to land on me or not.
Yeah, well, that's how it is.
I feel like, again, it's one of those. They're all disco songs. So, in a sense of, if I say one, why not the others? I feel like my least favorite is not so much like a least favorite, but like a least memorable, and that was probably Manhattan Skyline for me. I feel like all the rest of them, I sit there and I'm like, okay, I can like my brain can like reopen those songs. I feel like Manhattan Skyline, I always have to like go back and look and be like, which one was that again? And then I
It was
hear
the
like,
Sonic
oh,
soundtrack
okay.
on Genesis.
It does kind of sound like the Sonic
It does.
soundtrack. Now I'm gonna remember it, but until you said that.
Now you have to change your answer because it's memorable.
Well, it's memorable now, but up until now was not. So I feel like it's that. It's plus I feel like I can't say any of the Bee Gees songs. Like they just all
Better
are
not.
right there. So
Yeah, they're pretty good.
yeah. Sorry, David Shire. I like your stuff. It
Right,
just was the least memorable.
Well, it's mixed signals. Jarrett, what about you? What was your least favorite?
Yeah, I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna go with Open Sesame.
That was my second choice.
Really?
It wasn't my vibe. As far as like the vocals go, like that kind of like not really singing. But I think in its place in the movie, I like it. It works well. But as far as like, I'm not gonna choose to listen to this song, kind of thing, and I wanted to skip it every time. I almost went with Disco Inferno just because of it being 10 minutes, but I'm gonna land on Open Sesame.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Daniel or Day Night Fever?
Yeah, I would say Boogie Shoes.
Boogie Shoes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
It is the one in this album I feel like I could just do without.
I
Wow.
love Boogie Shoes.
Well,
Outside of this album, I think it's a great song, but
See what you're saying,
in this
though.
collection up against the album, it's Boogie Shoes.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see it, but I think you should lace them back up and pick a different one.
Down.
give
I
Boogies
think
another
you should
chance.
be dancing.
So Beans, what was your least favorite?
Hey, Beans.
Well, it's I'm actually gonna have to agree with Jason on this one. It was a Manhattan Skyline. It didn't jump out to me. It wasn't memorable. I haven't been to Manhattan.
We should go.
We should
It's
go.
pretty nice.
Well, I've been to like an
The
airport
Goat
in
Pod
New York.
live from Manhattan.
What, dude? That would
I
be
think that-
sick.
What?
Can we like rent a co-working space for $800?
No. We're just gonna sit in a park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna post up somewhere in Central Park and just.
There's gonna be like people yelling at us to like get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's we should definitely do that.
Why are they on roller skates?
Yeah.
Goat Pod
Okay.
takes Manhattan.
Yeah, okay, that's on the itinerary.
All right.
But till then, we're going to move on to favorites. And we'll start off with Jason.
Oh man, I wanted more time. No, I think.
Can't have it.
So here's the tough thing: is the decision. My favorite song was done twice,
Oh.
but I think I do honestly like. I think I do like the Tavares one better.
Interessante.
I think that's probably my favorite one.
That's no language.
Yeah, I think
Jarrett,
that's it.
what did you...
I'm double checking myself, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think just that intro itself just gets me the way they do it.
Interesting.
I think also because like the multiple like men and women voices that helps. Well, actually, no, I think it's all boys. I think it's all men.
Yeah.
Either way, but I don't know. It just vibes. I don't know. I like both of them though, but I think more than a woman, Tavares one.
Man.
All right, fair enough. Jarrett, you had to have seen this coming.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be second.
I didn't want to believe it.
You know how many good ones I want there to be on this list?
Yeah.
Daggone. I think I'm not doing more than a woman Bee Gees, even though that would be funny. I think one is enough. Although I do prefer it to the Tavares. I'm going to have to agree with my dad. If I Can't Have You is going to be my favorite.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Good choice.
Solid choice. How about you, Daniel?
How deep is your love?
Okay, good.
It's pretty deep.
How deep is your love?
I needed.
I was going to say, if the Bee Gees don't make this list,
And like it's hard not to pick Night Fever, Staying Alive, like they're like true classics. And
Yeah.
even like Disco Inferno is hard not to pick here. But like A Fifth of Beethoven, like there's so many good options. But How Deep Is Your Love? Like it comes on and you just it's another one of those, like it just starts so well. And I just immediately know that I'm gonna love it and sing to it, and it's a bop.
It is a bop.
do the bop.
It's a very good song.
All right, hey Steven,
Beans?
what's your favorite song on this album?
I think I know.
Ooh, man, how can we know what your? Okay, well, I'll just have to take your word for it. Okay, my favorite is Hit the Beethoven.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so glad you did, because if you didn't, I was going to ask to make an unprecedented thing and make a second statement for the favorites. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you picked that one.
As soon as that came on, when we watched it, I was like, this is going to be Steven's favorite.
Because I was dancing to it, dude.
It's the only one you
I'm not-
danced to, I think.
I'm not a dancer, but I never dance. But this one, I was
It's
like,
so
yeah,
good.
Beethoven, Germany.
Amazing.
It's so
Yeah.
well done.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was really good, and I've said this before on the podcast, but it's like when there's like these really old songs that you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know if I like that. When it's
Like
sung
Happy
by
Birthday.
like a modern artist, and it's like covered by like someone that you know already, and you begin to appreciate like how amazing just the music is, like those notes
Yeah.
put together.
Yeah. Like Eminem covers Happy Birthday. It's like,
Yeah, no, that's I don't know
Snoop
what
Dogg covers Three
Jared's
Little
talking
Pigs.
about, but yeah, that was my favorite one. It was truly a groovy bop, and I don't say that very often, if ever. It may be the first time. Okay, we are moving on to the album ranker. Where we're gonna put this
Pull
album.
that up.
Wow.
There we go.
Let's see. I guess we'll go in the same order, and I'm gonna pick on J Money.
Which one?
As in
Thank you
Jason.
very much. No, what do you mean? We all knew who he's talking about. There's only one
knew.
J Money in this podcast.
hey,
No offense, but
No, you're-
all
you're-
offense
you're J
will be
Train.
taken. But
I thought he was J Train.
no, I'm J Money. You're J Train. Because
Okay.
we have to take a train to go see you.
This is all just
But
chaos, is what's happening right now.
so I think for me, it's a weird one because, like, in one sense, I think this is incredible. I think this album, like, listening through it, I immediately was like, yep, this is up there. There's a reason. But then again, I'm also not the biggest fan of the whole like compilation. You know what I'm saying? But
The compies.
because the Bee Gees / David Shire wrote so many original ones, I'm gonna give them a pass, and I'm going to place this just above Let's Talk About Love in my 7 slot.
Wow.
That's pretty high up there.
I'm going
Wow.
real high. I'm sorry. When I sit there and I'm like, man, what's an album I could put on repeat? I could just have Saturday Night Fever in the background
Yeah.
for a good
Okay.
time. Like,
Yeah.
not
I
every day,
respect it.
but more days of the week than I could put Falling Into You.
Just every day when you wake up, right?
Yeah.
Like Dan's
Dan's dad.
grandpapa?
Father.
Father, yes, of course. Look,
Okay.
that was,
We know
Dad
who's
was gonna
next.
be my father was going to be my
Jarrett.
second guess.
All right.
So great.
All right.
I think
Ben,
Where's you going?
man, this is hard. So I know it's because it's so much like half original with the Bee Gees and David Shire. Like I know it's at least going above Dirty Dancing, but then the question becomes, where does it stop? I think I'm going to have to put it below Appetite for Destruction.
Okay, I can see that.
All right, that makes sense. Pretty cool. All right.
So that's my 10th.
Yeah. 10th. Okay, makes sense. Dan or Night Fever?
Yeah, Dan or Day.
Dan or Dave? Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah,
Dan.
My brain just auto-completed.
This one, I'm with Jason on like giving this one a pass because there is so much BG stuff and like that is originally where my thought was. It's like, oh, it's going to be around Dirty Dancing because it's like a compilation, and some of these songs were like brought back into the mix from previous years. But because so much of it is actually Bee Gees, it makes it way more difficult to place this. I'm gonna put mine at number 11 between Appetite for Destruction and Falling Into You.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I can track with that.
Yeah. There were like different times that I'd looked at this list and I'm like, maybe it's like up near Supernatural or 21. I couldn't do
Yeah.
no, it's where it needs to be. This one I'm solid on.
Fair
All right,
enough.
Beans.
So Beans,
That's my name.
you know?
I didn't really have to think about this very much. I am just going to put it above Dirty Dancing and behind Baby One More Time.
Dang it.
Wow.
You ruined the trend. You ruined the trend. Did anybody else see the trend? Dan,
No, I
Jarrett, and I all put it right behind Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah,
Even
I
though our
noticed that.
Appetite for Destruction is in different places. We all believe it is just
I
wrong.
could not put Saturday Night Fever above Michael Jackson.
You could put it above
Dangerous.
Britney, or you couldn't put it above Britney Spears.
You couldn't put it above Jagged Little Pill.
No, I would listen to those easily before I would listen to
I
this.
thought we were friends.
Yeah, well, turns out we're
Okay.
not. So,
So
Well,
where does that?
that's-
What's the ranking now?
Oh,
That
Yeah, what
gives
is that?
us Brothers in Arms at 18, where it should be. Baby One More Time at 17. Sorry, Dire Straits. You guys are so successful. Dirty Dancing and Jagged Little Pill are tied at 15.
15.
Falling Into You, 14. Dangerous, 13. At number 12 is Saturday Night Fever.
There it is.
Oh,
There it is. The newest
Right
on
off the
our
top
list.
12.
Yeah, it did. Wow, goodness. At number 11, Born in the USA. Man, as there are more numbers to look at, it is harder and harder to do this. Number 10, The Wall. Thanks, Jarrett. Number 9, Let's Talk About Love. Number 8, Appetite for Destruction. Number 7, Supernatural. Number 6, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Number 5, Metallica Black Album. Number 4, 21. Number 3, Bad. 2, Abbey Road. And still at number 1, Led Zeppelin 4. I say still for like the second
For the second week in a row.
episode.
I also want to point out there that Jason put The Wall only 3 more above mine. So
It wasn't last.
Yeah, but when I put it there,
Yes.
the win is the important thing. It's not about now. It's about
Yeah.
when it started.
and mine was
All right,
episode
well-
4.
this has been the G.O.A.T pod, and next week or next episode, we will be
Wait.
doing, of course.
I heard a rumor about what the next one is.
Oh.
Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
That's right. And we're all pretty excited about this one. Dan was saying he's been looking forward to this one for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of bops, bangers, and balonies on this next one. I couldn't think of another B word. Let's move on. So, yeah, tune in next time for that. It's going to be awesome. I don't know how to end it. Go
Thank you,
go
Steven.
with God.
That concludes this episode of the G.O.A.T Pod. If you enjoyed this or didn't, feel free to let us know by emailing us at thegoatpodemail@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at thegoat_pod. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time.